Mark, you're most famous for all of these shows that you've created on television, and I want you to discuss the creativity process. Just take me through idea to conception to fulfillment of the idea. How does that happen?
Well, first of all, I want to say America is a country which, obviously from my acting, wasn't born here, but moving here, it is the land of opportunity. And what that means is this country will allow you to have an idea, take a risk, make mistakes, and try again. This country celebrates ideas and action. And I know what I've succeeded to do in television here would be unlikely to have done in Europe, where I came from, you know. But once you have an idea, an instinct that something's going to work, and it seems not completely ridiculous, it's a possible idea, even though the first thing that usually happens is 100 people tell you how stupid you are. They do. And when I said about...
Which is why it hasn't been tried before.
When I said about Survivor, the amount of people who said to me, you know why that's not going to work? If it was so good, somebody would have already done it. And I thought, that's crazy. Everything has to start somewhere. And you know, Survivor did sound like a little crazy idea that I'm going to find an island, take 16 Americans who've never met before, let them build a society, and play this game on television. But I kind of knew. I knew there was something extraordinary about the idea of people who would never have met. I mean, have you never sat on an aeroplane and wondered, if this thing goes down, where do I fit into this society?
What kind of community are we going to be?
Well, am I the leader, the follower? Am I brave? Am I weak? I'd always wondered these kind of things. And that's what Survivor, the embodiment of Survivor, is. Because if you think about it, whether someone drives an expensive car or takes a bus, they have expensive clothes or threads. Yes, in the steel and glass modern society, people put values on that, but actually, on the island, it matters, can you make a fire or can you catch a fish?
Exactly.
So the ideas sound a little outrageous, but I felt that it would work. And once you've got the idea, you have to think through, what are the steps I need to do now?
Because a lot of people have good ideas. They don't know what to do next.
That's right.
The execution part.
And that's okay. That's the other thing. The fact that you don't know exactly what to do is okay.
It's okay.
I have a philosophy which I call jump in.
All right.
Which says that those of you, and I say we, those of you who need to know 100% certainty before going forward won't do anything. You wouldn't get married. How can you be certain? You wouldn't change jobs, and you certainly wouldn't start a business. I think it's okay to be 30, 40, 50% sure and figure out the rest of it. It's the philosophy of jump in even if you're not sure you can swim. But swim anyway.
I call this the difference between the decision-making phase and the problem-solving phase. If you wait to solve all the problems before you start, you're never gonna start.
You're right.
So you're saying it's like parenting. Nobody knows how to be a parent. You just have babies and then you figure it out while you're going. Nobody actually knew how to be a parent before they were a parent. So we have to take that risk and say, I think I can do this. I'm pretty well sure. Now, you obviously started with one show. You got lots of shows now, and so you went from a startup to a scale up. How do you know? How do you filter your ideas? What's a good idea, and we'll put that one on the shelf.
Well, the way, I'm not saying this is how it should be done. I can just say how I did it.
Sure.
Everyone's got their own ways, but I did a series called Eco Challenge, which was like an outdoor adventure race. Did it for 6 or 7 years before Survivor. Then did 6 Survivors before The Apprentice. I am a person who doesn't want to really look stupid, doesn't want to fail through knowing that I haven't figured out at least how I'm walking before I run. It's okay to take the risk and walk. We've got to walk. That's what the jump in is.
Gotcha.
But you can't make the assumption for the first second that you're the worldwide expert. And I tried to make sure that I knew what I was doing with Survivor before I started Apprentice and so on. But then after I'd done quite a few of these shows, I was able to do many more. For example, right now on Sundays, The Apprentice at 10 o'clock is the #1 show. The Voice on Mondays is #1.
Wow.
Voice on Tuesdays, #1.
Wow.
Wednesdays, Survivor beats the X Factor, and Friday night, Shark Tank is #1.
I love Shark Tank. That's my favorite one of all.
Very American.
It's very American, and it has a lot to do with how do you know if this is a viable idea?
Yes, with this conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think the answer really is you don't.
Yeah.
What you can do is have an instinct, believe in yourself, believe in the idea, and go forward. But how to scale does require team building. And I think the biggest through line factor is your own energy, saving your energy and using it wisely. You don't have the right to not get rest.
Okay, this is very important.
You don't have the right. You don't have the right to
energy
get
management.
Yes, you don't have the right to get exhausted. You don't have the right to not eat. You don't have the right to tell me, "Oh, it's been a terrible week. I've worked 80 hours. I've not slept. I've not eaten." I look at you and say, "You're an idiot."
Yeah.
I mean, how can you be leading?
Yeah. How
can you be leading?
So you're talking about personal management.
Personal management, and also within the teams, though, spotting people who are energy givers and energy suckers, right? So I think of it like you get up in the morning, you fill the bath with water to the top.
Yeah.
That clear water embodies your energy for the day. On a normal, hard-working, exhausting day, you come home, just as you lay your head on the pillow, the last drop of water right, has gone from that slightly removed plug. However, think of a day with a messy, unresolved conflict, be it with a loved one, a co-worker. You may as well pull the entire plug out.
It's going to keep draining.
And also, the rule is you can't refill the water that day.
Yeah. Oh.
So if you pull that plug out and all the water goes, that is because of emotional conflict. Works hard. You've got to make the phone calls, manage the ideas, manage the team. But if the team sucks your energy versus give your energy, then you've made the management mistake. You must avoid what I call energy suckers.
VDPs, very dependent people.
Yes.
They're very draining people. Okay, now with all these different shows, do you have a different team for each show?
Yes.
And how do you build a team?
Well, first of all, yes, I have a different team for every show. I have a rule that I don't want what's called showrunners, which are the people running the show. Every show has a team of 2 at the top, sometimes 3, and there's the person running the creative storytelling, and the person who's running logistically and monetarily how it all happens. I don't really want my #1 storyteller to be worrying about how the cameras got there today, or did we have the insurance?
Yeah, sure.
And I give them equal power and make them work as a
So
team.
it really works better to have a dual leadership.
Or 3 or 4,
Or 3 or 4,
actually. Someone has to actually have overriding power, but I don't like power struggles, and I try to make cohesive teams. And then for another show, it'll be another team. I don't want the teams managing more than one TV show. Can you imagine if you were running, for example, The Voice and Survivor?
No, no.
It really wouldn't. You wouldn't be
Divided
focused.
attention.
Yes, and so I've got a number of brilliant teams. I have to tell you, they're all way better than me.
So you hire people smarter than you. That's a
way
principle.
smarter, Rick.
Okay,
Way
what
smarter.
about somebody who's listening right now and says, I've got an idea for a startup, but I'm petrified by fear. How do you deal with the fear of failure?
Well, first of all, let's not define what the fear is of.
All right.
Let's just call it fear.
Okay, just fear.
So a couple of things you can look at.
All right.
It's a feeling in there, right?
Yeah.
Could it be the same feeling as excitement? It
Yeah.
could. It's just
You
a
could
weird
channel it.
butterflies, right?
Yeah.
It's how you look at that, first of all.
Okay, that's really important. He's saying redefine the fear
Yes.
okay, as that may be just energy.
Yes.
It's energy, and you're going to use that energy.
And if you do, if you're unable to redefine it and you do really think it's fear,
Yeah.
it's okay to know that, but then define what is your fear. I have had great fear, but my fear isn't of the failure of the project. It's looking back later, having done nothing.
Wow.
It's a very
a
serious
bigger
fear
fear.
now.
Yeah.
Yes. The fear of not making a meaningful contribution, of being insignificant, of looking back that I didn't step up.
Yeah.
I am honestly petrified, or I was, of that.
Yeah.
And the pain, there's only pain and pleasure, right?
Yeah.
In this world of fear.
Right.
So my pain of feeling like I'd let myself down, my family down, and not taking the risk to do it was far greater than the pleasure
Yeah.
of being calm.
Right. Right. Right.
That
It
makes-
wasn't
that
worth
makes
it.
sense.
Sure. Sure, it does. I'd rather attempt to do something great and fail than attempt to do nothing and succeed.
Yes.
And
yes.
go, it could have been. That's a fear. The fear of it could have been, but I didn't do it because I was afraid to step out.
And I've had many shows that don't work, Rick. And
How do you fail fast?
you sort of know you're going to fail fast,
Yeah.
and you're kind of lying to yourself that it's going to that actually that show's better than it is, and you sort of know. You sort of know, and sometimes you let other people get in your head and say, no, it's great, it's great.
Yeah.
You know, not everything works out.
Right.
It's that thing we said earlier about only being sure half the time. You know, not everything works out, but for me, the pain of the embarrassment of that failure of a project is way, way less than laying in bed at night feeling mad at myself for not trying it. If you think, for example, the thing that we've talked about for a couple of years now is Roma and my Bible project, Roma,
Right.
my wife's and my Bible project. If I would have overanalyzed it and took too much advice, I never would have started. It's too enormous, too scary. But actually, my fear was of looking back and feeling like a loser that I was called to do this and I didn't do it, and I have massive regrets, and I'm not going to have that. I don't know for a fact the Bible project will be as big as I hope it is, but I know I did it well, and that's what matters.